Okay, so we're ready to go.
So we'll call this meeting to order, starting with a roll call.
Jeff House here.
Will Roddybush here?
John Sampen here. Christina Tracy, we haven't heard nothing about.
Actually, I believe she's on her way.
Okay, good. So perhaps she will be here in a few minutes. And Chris Moen, we should just announce that she has tendered her resignation due to some personal issues with actually, we don't know what those issues are, but we wish her the best, and she's been a great asset to our commission. We will miss her very much. So I'd like to make just a general statement about thank you to Chris for those many months. And how long was she here? 2 years?
Not sure.
We'll have to look that up, but we will miss her. So thank you, Chris. We'll come back to other business. Maybe you have some news for us about replacements at some point in the meeting today. But let's go ahead with the approval of the minutes. Are there any?
I make a motion that we approve the August.
I have one just correction.
Okay.
Under item 6, Jeff, the bottom paragraph there, next to the bottom paragraph, there's something missing there. It says Moen
Mayor.
reported that the Downtown Forward Committee, Dick Newlove, is interested in wayfinding signage and wants to coordinate efforts. Saylor also said the mayor.
Okay,
The rest of that sentence is missing.
yeah. I'll have to reconstruct it.
Okay. Otherwise, I think we can honor Will's motion to approve the minutes. I will second. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that's fine. I'm John Sampen, Vice Chair, and I'm filling
See your
in
name. Okay.
for Chris. Hello, Christina. Christina Tracy has just arrived. And we've just approved the minutes. Okay, next meeting will be October 24th. Does that work for everybody's calendar?
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock,
Yes.
correct.
John, are you going to elect new officers since we need to do some shifting? It's on the agenda because it was done prior, so.
Yes. Maybe we should make this temporary, but do we have any suggestions?
I'd like to nominate John Sampen for president for the remainder of Chris Moen's term.
And that term is for how long?
Through June.
I don't have that with me, but normally we do the appointments in June of officers.
1 year? Okay, well, at least for now, I will accept. Okay.
Was there a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have our secretary. We don't need to make any changes on that, so we're in good shape. Administrative items.
You were the vice chair, I believe, so you need a vice chair, please.
We still need that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Chris Tracy.
I'm actually going to have to pass on that for right now, but
Okay. I'll nominate Will.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Are we good now?
I think you're good. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. As we said, next meeting is October 24th. And reports on administrative items. University Hall plaque. I sent another message, Laura Moore, on the 9th of this month. No response. So I think we may just remove that from the future agendas. I'm sure they will eventually create a plaque, but I'm not getting anything back from the university on that, so I think we should not pursue that too much more. Is that agreed?
Second.
The courthouse, there's been some discussion through our signage subcommittee about perhaps blending in the plaque that we were planning for the courthouse with one of our signs. And I just wanted to have some discussion about that. We don't know if the courthouse would be agreeable to a sign on their property. They do have plaques on the building itself. And I don't know if it would be possible to use one of the our signs as a plaque, if we could do a special plaque instead of a sign that's set in the ground.
And so just to clarify, the plan wasn't to put any of the signage on private property, which I know sounds funny because the courthouse really isn't private property, but we meant to put it in the public right-of-way, all the signs. So I don't see any issues with, as long as we have once the draft and design is done, showing it to the county commissioners and making sure they're okay with that. But it would be somewhere along the public walk, all the signs.
Long Court Street in the front. Sounds good.
Yes.
I think we could recognize our own designation of being an historical building, as well as doing some descriptive information about the courthouse, and wrap it all into one, rather than our having to somehow finance a plaque as well as a sign for that space.
That's certainly an interesting piece of historic information about the courthouse, right? So we can
Yeah.
also, it's also advertisement of what we're doing.
Absolutely. I think we'll still want to have a discussion with the authorities of the courthouse, just to be sure they're happy with that idea, but we're okay with that? Okay, we'll at least tentatively continue with that plan. Okay, South Main School, any update, Jeff?
No update.
Has there been no communication?
I haven't heard back from him yet.
Okay. And do any of us have other news about the South Main School? As far as the future? No, okay. Boomtown and our strategic plan. I'm wondering if we might delay that discussion for a little bit later in our meeting. We have done a lot of work on this, and I know, Will, you just helped forward some ideas about the FAQs, which I think we need to discuss. We can do that now or later?
We can do it now if you want. Here's copies. This is. The FAQs I just passed out, I believe those were drafted by Chris Moen, and the red comments are from Heather, I believe. I think Chris sent it out about in March sometime this year, and I believe then Heather responded back in April with these comments. And my thoughts, and Jeff and I were talking a little before the meeting, but because we've got some other suggested FAQs from individual commission members, these were the kind of the original. My thoughts are to go with them and then to merge some of ours into them. But maybe to take a look at the red comments to see if there's anything that needs to be discussed right now so we could get them done, and then at some point would be to blend ours. Because I think one of mine that I suggested is probably futuristic because it had to do with like repeating like COA on something. And at this point, I don't think that's appropriate because we haven't done any COAs. So we could take it out and at some point maybe add it back in, but would be to look then at the list then that from that Chris Moen had a couple, and then Jeff and John had, to see which ones we might want to take off the spreadsheet and add into the format I think that Chris had and that Heather marked up.
So just to be clear, we're talking actually about a designation in Boomtown of North Maple Street. That's been a discussion for several months. And before we are ready to poll the neighborhood, we wanted to have a strong set of FAQs that would help the residents understand what they were signing up for. And so we've been developing this list. Now, your red comments are suggestions or elaborations possible?
Heather, yeah.
These are from you, Heather?
Yeah.
Okay. And I haven't actually had a chance to look at those at this point. But maybe, Will, would you be willing to coordinate that and add in the ones that you think are appropriate from our list that
Could do
we
that.
submitted a couple of months ago?
Could do that. Because I think this is in Word, a Word document.
I believe so.
That's what I need.
When was it last circulated?
I think
Does
in
anybody
April.
know?
When was,
When is the last circulated via email? I was just looking for it.
Well, I think it was April. I did a search and it came up like, I
Okay.
did FAQs and it came up, there was like 3 listed, and the first one I pulled up was the marked up version, and I realized it was April, so then I went back and looked at the earlier one, and it was the same exact text without the red, the comments that came from Chris.
Okay, thank you.
I looked at it to see if the changes had been made, and I realized, no, they hadn't, because it came from her in March,
Okay.
and then the comments were added in April.
and so this, you just sent this on to us again? is it?
Yes, I just I just
I
copied it and
Okay,
pasted,
great.
sent it.
Yeah, if you're willing to take a look at that.
Yeah,
and-
maybe you could send any comments, maybe to look at the red comments to see what I should add into the text, if anything. Because if I got something for several of you, what I could do is look at compiling them into one comment to add to it. And then I could look at the list we had before. And now yours, John, didn't have answers.
Right.
So whether to hold on those for now, or if you want to provide answers to me and I'll add them. Because what I could do is add all these in, try to find where it may be appropriate,
Okay.
and then send it out for comments.
I think once we have answers in there, we want to all review these to make sure that the answers are correct.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be important before we distribute this. Shall we do that? Just add them in a place that looks appropriate.
Yeah, if you could get me like tentative answers, and then I could add them in.
Okay. Chris, did we have any responses from you on that? on the FAQs?
Not yet, no.
Okay,
I will. I'll chime in on them.
okay.
I have some too that I haven't sent an email yet. I made some notes. I just been too busy, but I definitely looked at it.
Okay. Okay, let's do that. Let's say maybe within the next 2 weeks, we try to communicate with Will.
Yeah, if you get things to me within the week, say, and it gives me a week to
In 1 week, okay,
compile them, and
okay.
whatever I get within the say by next Tuesday or whatever, then I'll incorporate.
I know we were waiting on these. The packet apparently, I think, is pretty well set to go. Am I correct with that, Heather? Are you
I think so.
feeling
Yeah,
comfortable?
just once this is done, I'd want our city attorney to definitely review it too.
Right.
Obviously, and he's been off, but now he's back, so
Okay.
I would show him the entire packet once it's done.
Okay. So let's all share comments, and if we need appropriate answers with Will, and you want it within a week.
If I could, that would
Okay.
give me time to get it.
Okay.
Does it need to then go to you, Heather, to go to the attorney? I mean, you go back out to everybody, but
Once you're all,
probably the whole commission needs input into it first before
Yes.
we.
Yeah, maybe a few days that we could all have a chance to look at
Yeah.
it and respond, and then we can send it on to Heather.
Edit the master and then get it, once it's correct, get it to,
Okay.
yeah, I think
finalize
once
and
you're
get it
all
together.
happy with the answers especially, because that's obviously the key piece to the
Right.
FAQs, then I'm happy to show it to him.
Okay, so it's September 26th. So let's try to get within a week, so early November, or early October to Will.
And just to build on this, I do really like, I don't know if it was Chris or somebody else who referenced the applicable section of the ordinance. I think that's really helpful
that was,
on the FAQs.
yeah,
So,
that was mine.
yeah, okay, great. I really like that. I think that's very helpful to our office
Sort of
especially.
like the question, well, the answer already exists. It's just finding it in the ordinance, saving the person from looking through the whole ordinance to find something.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what.
Okay. With that in mind, if we can get that in place in October at our October 24th meeting, maybe we can be prepared to vote on the packet that could go out to North Maple. Any other information or comments about that project? Okay. Friends of the HPC, we thank you for coming. We always appreciate our friends being here and supporting us.
Friend. Friend today. Friends.
Two friends. Thank you for being here. I did have a couple things from Rose Drain. Rose would have been here, but she's ill today and could not come. I would just want to tell her that it was a really great write-up on her house. I thought she did such a nice job on that. She has asked me to forward a couple items. Rose has somehow found out that the Bowling Green former women's club on 124 Prospect has been bought by the Mauer family, and they're preparing to remodel that to be a single or a single home dwelling, as I understand it. And this is all from Rose now. And Rose has asked if there would be consideration from their HPC in suggesting to the Mauer family to perhaps consider removing the aluminum siding and underneath is a wood structure that I think would be wonderful for that historic area. She's asking if we would be willing, as the HPC, to write a message to the Mauer family. comments?
To suggest that. I walked by there today. They're already working on the interior, though I noticed one of the shutters was down too. And I looked at that siding, and it needs to be replaced in any case, right? The aluminum siding is not in good condition as it is, so
So it won't
can-
just be painted,
we-
probably.
that might be the solution, yeah. But there are parts of it that are bent and hanging off. And
Obviously, we're not in any position to require a change.
No,
But
no.
it would be a gentle request, at least to consider making that siding.
Yeah, and I don't mean that we need to point out that the siding is in bad shape. It's just, it might be something that they need to do anyway. They need to do something about the siding.
Yeah, and then maybe that's their plan. So what do you all think of a gentle letter to the Mauer family?
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate, probably. And probably even suggest, like, if they were going to recite it, maybe like a cementous, I can't even think of the name of the company, but they make a cementous kind of clabbered, it looks like wood, which, in other words, it lasts longer. You don't have to paint it and things as
As a
frequently.
replacement?
Yeah, something like a cementous kind of clapboard siding to replicate the historic siding that was there prior to, say, the aluminum siding being put on.
Okay. Who would like to write that letter?
I think it should come from you.
I will draft something and I'll share it with you before I send it.
That sounds good.
Also, Rose had asked to be considered for the, and we can talk about this a little bit later, but the building doctor. She had signed up for that and has heard nothing back.
Well, because we're still accepting them, it's still open right now. We're not responding to people until we get that schedule done, and
Okay.
so I will be making contact with everybody at the appropriate
It will
time.
be coming from you?
Yes.
Okay, so we're just not ready to
Correct.
announce that yet.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still plenty of time
Okay.
for people to register for the workshop and the site visits.
Okay, and I did register to attend. Hopefully you got my name there.
I got a list,
Okay,
actually.
good.
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. Thank you. All right. Signage project. I wanted to give a report on this, and Jeff, if you will just chime in whenever you have something additional to add.
Yep.
Our current members of our subcommittee are Jeff and myself, Rose Drain, Dick Martin, Jan Knapp, Kathy Baker, Amy Justice, and Jeff Lee. Now, we've had, at this point, I think 3 meetings and at least 1 or 2 virtual meetings, and Jeff and I had a meeting also. So we had a lot of meetings on working on this project. Of our committee, Amy and Jeff have not attended any meetings, and I actually haven't had any feedback from them. So I think we need to find out if they're really serious about participating. Our progress, the committee has redrawn the map strategy. Heather had provided a great map. We've changed around a few things. And it will, as the proposal stands right now, we will have a sign, central downtown, just talking about the early history of Bowling Green and also the Black Swamp. And then there'll be a sign on each of 4 sides of the downtown 2 blocks. We'll have probably 2 signs in the Wooster Green, one for schools, several schools that have been either in that space or nearby, and one for just discussing Boomtown and introducing that. I'm just afraid we will never, at least not in a long time, have another signage project. And so we do want to mention Boomtown, even though we won't be doing, at least immediately, a series of signs for that area. But then there'll be 2 or 3 signs in the courthouse square area. We're planning for 14 signs, and we're hoping at $3,000 each or something near that. Jeff and I prepared some sample signs, which we shared with subcommittee members, and we've all kind of broken into groups, into single groups, individuals who are working on particular areas which we plan for the signage. We had a virtual meeting this afternoon, earlier today, with the sign company. And is this really called Obi-Wan Kenobi? Is that-
No.
Okay.
I think that's his title.
Somewhere in one of those emails.
No, it's called B Sign Group. So letter B Sign Group.
B Sign Group.
I think maybe John from B Sign Group is Obi-Wan Kenobi of B Sign Group. That's his title.
Okay. But we had, I think, a very, very important meeting with them talking about a timetable and also what materials they need from us. They seem very excited about our project and are ready to go as soon as we are ready to go.
We also got some information about their plans for what the signs will look like. They will be 2 by 3 feet, so there'll be lots of room for information and photos. And they're planning on making them into what they call podium signs rather than the straight up and down ones. So they won't have 2 sides, but there'll be plenty of room on the one side for information and images. So I have to revise my conception because I was working just on a computer screen,
I think we're.
not thinking about those dimensions.
I think there will be many revisions as we go forward, but we need to have. I don't have the timetable here that they were suggesting, but I think is it November?
I have my notes.
Okay.
We want to have our suggested materials for a couple of the signs so they know what we have in mind, not necessarily putting them into an arrangement or a design, though they said they're very interested in what we are thinking of as far as designs or arrangements of images and text goes. But they want a couple of examples so they know what they're working with. They want as much information as possible that is possibly going beyond what we think might fit, because they'll make decisions based on what is possible for them and on their conceptions of design. And as I have noted here, John, whose last name doesn't occur to me, but he's the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the leader of the group, will visit us probably in early November, and we'll be able to talk to them about how they've reacted to those materials that we've sent them. And so we hope to get the layout taken care of by the end of November. And the sites decided by the beginning of December, is that?
I think that's right.
Yeah. And of course, that will involve a lot of input from the city, and also from the people at the state have indicated that they want to have input there. And we hope to have it all finalized in mid-January so that the production can go ahead for an installation in April. And at some point, there will be a public meeting, possibly a virtual opportunity for people to respond to our proposed signs.
Yeah, and we'll have a need for meeting with some city officials. And maybe Heather, you and I can decide that list of who all we have to talk to, just to be sure that they're on board with our plan. I think we also need to meet with some of the officials of the downtown, forward, and Chamber of Commerce, maybe Kat Patterson, Tony Vetter, some of the other people who have a stake in this. I think you had mentioned the Worcester Green. Is there a board of directors or something for that?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I just know there's a planning group behind that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all this has to be coordinated and a lot of forward meetings, future meetings to make this happen. But I think it's an exciting project. We did find out that the QR codes can be placed on the signs, and if the city's willing to host them and keep them updated, or help us keep them updated. So we'll be talking about that as well. Will, did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay.
Good.
Christina, any? Okay. Yeah, we'll need to make sure we get the downtown people on board. I mean, I would think they would be excited about this, but we don't want to be placing a sign in front of a business that really is hostile to that.
Yeah, it looks like you have just one sign that you were thinking for the downtown.
No, there would actually be 5 signs, but one that would just sort of talk about the general style of the buildings, like,
Okay.
and a little bit about the Black Swamp itself, and then 4 other signs that would be more specific, like talking about the Milliken Hotel and the Ross Hotels.
Yeah, it might be good to present to the SID committee after we have like some idea of what they're gonna look. It sounds like you already have some ideas of what they're gonna look like, which is great. So maybe we come up with like a rendering of sorts and sort of present it to the SID committee, just to make sure that folks know that we're thinking.
To which committee?
What's the SID's
Special Improvement District.
Special Improvement District? It's a group of local business owners in downtown.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the SID is a special assessment that is collected for the purposes of improving the downtown and maintaining the downtown, you know, cleaning of the sidewalks. There's a part-time person. So that board, you know, makes a lot of those decisions moving forward. So I know the
that-
mayor wanted the stakeholder group really involved, but he talked about Downtown Forward. But I believe that committee is pretty much done with their work. So I would think the SID, or in some aspect, would be involved, or at least provide some feedback.
Tony Vetter is the
He's
head
the
of that?
director.
Okay.
Yep, he's the one.
Okay. I don't know at what point we need to meet with them, whether it's immediate or,
I think you should probably have like some sort of rendering of what it will look like, what the signs we're envisioning will look like, and then we can meet with them. So I think the business, that's our first question, is gonna be, what is it gonna look like? How is it gonna impact
Locations.
locations? How's it gonna impact possible parking? You know, that kind of, we know that it's not gonna affect parking. But having some sort of image, I think will be when we're ready to meet with the city.
now, Jeff and I created images, but I'm sure it will change quite a bit. So I don't know that we should even present those ideas yet to them. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I think maybe, are you thinking that the initial images, have you shared those with some sort of like artist or architect?
No,
or
no, and
okay.
there's a design person with the company that will be
Yeah.
designing this,
Okay.
actually.
Maybe after that. So after the design
Right.
person takes their
So
first
sometime in-
pass.
Schematics, like schematic design.
Yes, maybe after the design person takes their first pass at what it will look like, I think that would be the time to meet with the SID folks.
Yeah, we fully realize that our original designs are going to change,
yeah.
and that's fine. But
Right.
we wanted to give the company kind of an idea of
Something,
what
right,
we
sure.
thought could work.
But then they'll work on it in November, possibly by the end of November, they'll have their
Yeah.
versions. And they're fully aware of what needs to be done, that is, in terms of interacting with other stakeholders.
Yeah, okay. I think that makes sense.
So sometime in November, maybe arrange that meeting. Okay,
Well, I think they meet, how often do they meet, Heather? They meet, I know when, I think it's tomorrow is their next meeting.
I assumed once a month, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might be once a month, actually, is when they,
do you sit on that?
no, but my husband does.
Okay.
So I'll know.
Maybe you could just mention,
Yeah.
or he could mention that this is in progress and we will be consulting them soon.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, it's a big project and I'm tired already.
Well, we've been busy this week.
In my world.
Any other discussion about the signs?
Yeah, I think I've tried to share with you all the information I have, especially when it comes to the State Historic Preservation Office, and that they want us to follow the Secretary of Interior standards. So I wanted to really make that a focus. And I know when I talked to the CLG grant coordinator, of course, he's moved on to another job, but he really wanted the architecture focused on anything that makes it historic, anything on the National Register, any building that's been locally designated. So I thought that was helpful information, but then also to know that your hands aren't totally tied as far as going beyond that. So I thought that was good information to share.
Right.
And that information you sent also indicated that there will be full documentation behind each of the signs that isn't necessarily incorporated into them, but we have to make sure that the information is accurate and documented.
Well, especially if you expand on it, like have the QR code down too, it could be a lot more information behind the scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed with the B sign group that, how much information should go on these signs. There was some minor discussion about, they said you could put a lot of detail on, and I still think we should not make it too full of text, and using the QR as much as we can. I mean, I think we could have some smaller descriptive information about some of the photos,
Things,
but
statements are,
having
get a person's interest.
a larger statement
Yeah, it gets
first.
their interest.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of our plan.
Well, I wanted to add my cautionary tale to that was that our grant was very specific about the signage was meant to teach local history. So that's a delicate balance of, we want to have the information really on the sign because they're meant to be here for decades. And so it's really important that we, again, still highlight and not make it too wordy, but at the same time, we want people to spend time at the signs. That's the whole point of it, right? That's how we got a grant, is to really introduce local history, a sense of pride, attract tourism here, just like what happened to Perrysburg when they installed their signs, and it really brings people downtown, which is wonderful. It's something that you'd be surprised that a lot of people follow. So I just think it's important to keep them not just QR codes, because we're all of different generations that are going to want to really spend some time there and read them. But that maybe is an option to expand upon different topics. You've already mentioned the schools. Well, what about hotels? You could have a whole thing about hotels. You could have a whole thing about opera houses, theaters. You really could expand about the type of industry that was here and maybe go into further topics on the QR code, but really still focus on some highlights of history, like you've already mentioned, which is great.
Yeah, the people from the sign company mentioned that it's important to have a heading, but then subheadings. And so there are sort of different levels that people some people could just look at the subheadings and get a good picture of what's going on, but then others will delve into the more detailed text. Yeah.
Okay, but we would welcome any suggestions from anyone, including any of our friends. I think the Wood County Museum has wonderful signs. You did a great job on those. I don't know how long they've been posted.
They've been up since the fall of 2020.
2020. Okay, so they're fairly new. Okay, that's great. But I think they look terrific. So we'll try to do as good a job as you did. Any other information or discussion about the signage?
We do have a CLG grant report due in October. I think I sent a format or an example. I have not been able to tackle that at all, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Are there parts of it, I haven't looked at it yet, I have to admit, parts of
Well,
it
you
that
know,
we
a
can
lot of-
fill in for you because we've been working on it?
So a portion of it really is focused on the budget. Well, we haven't spent anything yet, so I think that is easy to state that, but just giving basically an update on where we're at. So I guess if you're willing to, you could take a stab at it and it would be helpful.
Sure.
But I just wanted to mention that that is due, and I can't remember the day in October, but it's probably the 20th or something, I'm thinking.
That's, sticks in my head that it's mid to,
Heather, are you asking one of us to do that job?
Well, I think Jeff sort of just volunteered, didn't you?
I just did.
Okay.
yeah.
And I'm not leaving, and I
Well, I
wouldn't leave
just
you
thought
alone. We
because
would-
we're working on this, we know what's going
Yeah,
on.
Thank you,
yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah,
Great.
well, anything I can do to avoid being chair.
That's okay. All right, excellent. Okay, let's move on. We have public relations and educational projects. Living History Day. I know several of us were there for
It was good.
the museum.
Missed Rose, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to get Rose back there to do her part, but I thought it was very well done.
Very good.
Music at the Museum, that was on September 14th. I was not able to go. I don't know if anybody else.
I wasn't either, but I saw pictures and talked to people who were there, and it was very well attended and very good from what I heard.
And the weather has been pretty good for some of those events, so appreciate that. Good weather. Future workshops, events, Wood County District Public Library Family History Research, October 2nd. You need to register for that. A genealogy chat, October 4th and November 1st, runs monthly. A vintage social media in Wood County, November 8th, 7 to 8 p.m. And portraits of older women of the Great Black Swamp, November 9th. And that's also at the museum. Is that correct? No?
Library.
Library.
That's the library.
That's a project by Sandra, now I've lost her last name.
Faulkner.
Faulkner, thank you. One of our historic building submitters.
Number 2, Wood County Museum Demonstration Day, Fall Blacksmithing, October 7th. German American Day, October 11th.
Featuring myself and Mike McMaster.
And what do you do?
I'm part of that. I'm presenting about this German newspaper that I've talked about.
Oh, you're giving a talk?
A
Or,
brief one.
yeah?
And then we have a kind of we call it a story slam, so people can tell their family stories. We try to arrange it around a theme, but people can go off theme if they want.
Nice. That sounds great. Tea and Talk series, Trailblazing Women in Ohio Politics, October 26th. So some really great things happening at the museum.
That's Melissa Miller, right, from the political science department.
Number 3, audio tours, feedback on that. This is the audio tour for the downtown and then another tour for the historic homes, I believe.
Well, one is north of Worcester and one is south of Worcester, so.
That's true. There's,
Both of them emphasize both things, right? I took the tour today on foot for the first one and sitting in a coffee shop doing the virtual tour, the other one. And it's really impressive. It's really nicely done. As you're guided along, you can also look at pictures of the buildings as part of the app. And the architectural descriptions are very good. The historical descriptions are very good. His voice is he's good at this. Tony.
They're $6 for each
Yeah,
tour.
for each one, yeah.
For buying the tour, but you can use it over and over.
Right, that's
It's
to
not like just
download it.
one time.
It's $6 each.
Yeah, I did the some of the downtown one, and I thought it was well put together. So,
I learned some things.
any other feedback on those tours? Okay. I think Chris Moen was very helpful in helping
Yeah.
get that in place. So we appreciate that.
It occurred to me we could write to Ted Long and thank him for doing that. And I could write that letter.
Great. A building doctor. Any report on that at this point, Heather, or?
Yes, so we have postcards if anybody wants to pass these out, give them to neighbors. This basically announces the workshop, so that's on October 19th in this room at 7 o'clock. And then the site visits are the next day on Friday, and they can do up to 10. Well, we already have 11 signed up, so we will be creating a waiting list, because if someone doesn't show up to the workshop that wants a site visit, they don't get their site visit. That's part of the requirement. So anyways, I would request if you're able to take some postcards and give them to neighbors or put them in the downtown if you have a coffee/restaurant bar. And then we also got posters too that could be hung somewhere. Here at the city building, we actually became pretty advanced and are not putting things on the board. We don't have boards. We use the computer screen, and it's already part of our calendar. So if anybody wants a poster to put up anywhere, you could feel free to take that, and we would appreciate the advertising. So I also have been working with the Historic Preservation Office. So we signed a grant agreement, obviously as part of this free program, and he is super excited that we already have the 11 site visits signed up for. I'll make contact with those. It's first come, first serve, so that's how it's gonna work. And then anything after 10, I'll put the waiting list on there. We do have, I think, 27 people already signed up for the workshop, which is great for Thursday evening. They do want people to sign up, though, because they want to make sure they bring enough booklets. So whatever information they're bringing, they want to make sure, again, they have enough for everybody. So again, encouraging that, registering for that. And they did send me the link, so I'm able to print off all the information when people sign up. And I think that's basically it, besides having the space ready, having, people sign in. They'll have a PowerPoint, of course, and then doing the schedule on Friday. So we're responsible for doing the schedule, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and filling those up. They'll have 2 building doctors. There was a very nice article in the BG Independent about it. They're very highly qualified people. And so we'll have 2 building doctors that will split up. So one will do 5 properties, the other one will do the other 5 properties, and then we will have a driver. So me and another coworker, we're going to drive them to where they need to go based on that schedule. So we're excited about it. We've heard a lot of positivity, and I think that's it as far as the information. Oh, I wanted to mention, we have a big contingency coming from Lorraine, Ohio, because I believe it's because they're also hosting a building doctor program, and I don't know if they just kind of want to see ours first. So we have quite a few people coming from Lorraine, and we even have somebody from Perrysburg, so everybody's welcome, right? So anyway, that's the latest. If you want to see the list, you can. There's just some, I don't know, it's a little bit outside of the downtown. I was a little surprised on the site visits, but, you know, it's great that people want that advice for their older structure. So I think that's it.
That's great. Yeah, excellent. If you're doing the workshop, but you don't have a site visit, can you follow around to go to these site visits? How
I
does?
don't think in the agreement that's encouraged because, I'll have to look. Let me double check the agreement. I don't remember every detail.
Okay,
I'll have to double check.
okay, thanks.
I know they're very much on a tight time constraint as part of the issue, because I even told them we probably could walk to most of these spots. Well, they want to keep it, 50 minutes and we're out of here. We got to go to the next spot to stay on schedule. So
Okay,
I'll double check.
that's a great project.
I'm sure space is an issue too. You were thinking about that, weren't you, Dale? Yeah.
Okay, that is our agenda. Are there any other comments before we do lobby visits?
I have, I guess, a request. So we kind of glazed over a bit the historic buildings of the month. So we have the one for October done, was already mentioned. I
you.
have nothing moving forward, so we do need help with that. It's a lot of work. Even when someone writes an article, I still have to go through it, put it in our format, edit it, and then I have to do a social media portion where it shrinks it a bit and cuts out things. So the more of these we have in the queue that are already drafted, we just have a lot going on in our area, so I really appreciate any help with what's next. So we need a November and then beyond. So right now, we only have up to October done.
I've done some work just in the context of the signage. We wondered whether we wanted to bring the church in where the Black Swamp Players are now. So I've done some work on that, so I could have that ready for November or December if somebody else is in the line. But
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're
very
open to
interesting.
anything.
It's been there since 1880, survived the fires, and was the first Baptist church from 1880 to 1994.
So probably it is the oldest church, right, in Bowling Green
I think
right
it's the
now?
oldest standing church, yeah.
Standing church, yeah. Any other thoughts for buildings that we want to pursue or nominate, recommend? What? Heather, can you remind me of all the ones we've done? It's been a lot, I know.
I would have to email that to you, but I certainly could.
Okay, we've done Carter House, right? Has that been done?
You're testing me right now. I really don't remember. I don't think it
recall it.
has. I don't think it has.
Okay, that's one that we should do in the future, if it hasn't already.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Thinking like the Heinz plant. It's not there, but it'd be interesting in history.
Yeah.
Or the armory or some of the
Have we done any that are not standing right now? House of the Month?
oh, no. No,
I don't think we have.
buildings.
Yeah.
So maybe we added historic buildings and sites.
Sites of the month, yeah. I think at some
Building,
point
yeah,
it would be
building
interesting to do it that way.
We could start the story on it, or
Yeah, I mean, you can start with what's there currently,
'Cause
right?
I
Behind
think,
site apartments. and-
like buildings and sites, maybe at some point, maybe modifying the heading, but could even be like the original Martindale site of the original site for the original house.
Oh, another one I thought of is on Napoleon. It's one of the stone houses. I think it's the oldest standing house in Bowling Green, and I think I know the person who lives there. I have to double check and
That's
see.
by the park.
It's
Is it on Napoleon?
it's on Napoleon.
Kind of where the
Oh,
potato
okay,
chip
I know where you
company
mean.
was?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's on,
But farther down, it's
Okay.
farther east from there, on the right side. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we should do that for
So
sure.
I don't think we're short on ideas, it's just people to do it.
yeah.
That's kind of the-
but I'll make a list, put it in the minutes, and we
Okay.
can think about a sign.
But if we could do that church for November, that would be helpful.
Okay,
And
I'll
then-
do that.
And then maybe we can brainstorm several other locations for the future. I did want to mention too about the old hospital on West Wooster. Anissa Miller, as we've already heard a couple times, I think Rose brought that up, that Anissa Miller has purchased that home. She's hoping that she can gift it to perhaps to the museum, the Wood County Museum. There was a group of people, I was one of them, that toured the old hospital this morning. It's not in great shape, but it's historically really an important building in Bowling Green, and I hope we can find a caretaker, somebody that will take it on and be willing to restore it. So I want to keep bringing that up, just keeping it in our minutes and supporting that. It would be a really horrible thing to lose that building on West Wooster. That's the one right next to Dunn Funeral Home.
To the west, right?
Right.
oh, it's on
Yeah.
the west. East side of it, I think.
Oh, okay.
On this side, yeah, I
I
think it's on this
kept meaning
side.
to look up
this side of the
the
funeral.
number to see which one of those abandoned looking
It's the
buildings
west.
it is.
On the west side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Four-
right, because
it's
it backs up to
416.
Maple Street.
It had no lights on the other night, and the other one
Yeah,
had
you
some
and I walked
lights.
through that too. Okay, lobby visitation. Any comments?
Just quickly, I took the building doctor registration to our board, our Tampa board. We decided just to send myself, and would you have to sign up for that? Okay, because the time I talked to you, you said just come, but now we just register.
Yep, I just found that out.
Okay, so if I have another person that wants to come, then, okay, we're gonna do that. And
Great.
then, thank you.
You can take the postcard, Dale, if you want.
I'm sorry?
If you want a postcard, you know what, though? I don't think it has a link on it.
That link you sent me was where you registered?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
Great, thank you, appreciate that. Yeah,
Marissa?
feel free.
In addition to all those wonderful things you listed
Thank
on
you.
the museum, we do have one more. After 10 very long, excruciating months, we are finally going to reopen.
Oh, congratulations.
Yay.
Our ribbon cutting is in coordination with the Bowling Green Chamber of Commerce, the Perrysburg Chamber of Commerce, and the North Baltimore Chamber of Commerce. It'll be on October 19th at 3:30 p.m. with an open house to immediately follow until 6 p.m. that evening. So we will have cake, punch, refreshments, those kinds of things, and it's free to come through, take a tour, see the exhibit, see the renovations we've had to do, that kind of thing. So, and I have postcards for too if they'd like one.
Great. Excellent.
Good news.
Yes,
Go to the museum
congratulations.
and then come here
Yeah, I know.
for our workshop.
Right, it's the same
Night.
night.
Same day.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. Any final business? Okay, do we have a call for adjournment?
Make a motion that we adjourn?
Second?
I think we're all in favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.